And notice to hold teleconference meetings pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.021. Due to the current federal and state emergency declarations and guidance about limiting person-to-person contact due to COVID-19 pandemic, by action of the school board of the Pelican Rapids School District, all future meetings of the Pelican Rapids School Board will be conducted in accordance with Minnesota Statute 13D.021. Meetings by telephone or other electronic means until further notice. One or more board members may participate by telephone or other electronic means in accordance with Minnesota Statute 13D.021. Members of the public are not permitted to attend this meeting due to the current health pandemic. Persons may monitor this meeting from a remote location via Zoom. The link to this meeting will be posted on our district website. Public comment for school board meetings during opportunity for visitors to speak may be submitted as follows. Barbara, please email at bripley@pelicanrapids.k12.mn.us. And we'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:10 p.m. Everybody is in attendance, and we'll start with standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody, first item up is to approve the meeting agenda. And we have one thing to add to the agenda under business items. That'll be item C. And that'll be to approve the extension of FFCRA leave until March 31st, 2021. Are there any other additions or anything need to be added to the agenda? I believe so. I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
I'll approve the agenda with added C to business items.
We have a motion by Brittany. We have a second. Second by Ann. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. It'll be by roll call. Greg?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
And aye. Agenda carries. Opportunity for visitors to address the board.
Don't have anything.
Nobody registering on Barb's email, so we'll move on. We're going to start with acknowledgements. I guess I'm going to be acknowledged. Somebody else want to read that? Congratulations to me for earning the President's Award for MSBA. This sounds really awkward. He's completed over 300 hours of attendance at MSBA meetings and training. And thanks to Mr. Carter for all your work in representing Pelican Rapids. Thank you. Appreciate that. Next acknowledgement is very worthy. It's Becky Wanter for communications to the community and school district employees for the COVID dashboard. And high school kitchen staff and student volunteers for 2 evening meals prepared for the public. We had over 700 meals that were served. And we also have the AAA award winners, Rachel Guler and Mikhail Korf. Congratulations to them. They're obviously not here for a photo op, but I think they're busy at the moment. So from the acknowledgements, we'll move on. Administrative reports. Mr. Nelson, do you want to take away the elementary report and activities director?
Enrollment, we're at 428. Last month we're at 423, so up 5 kids. We have another family that's coming. That'll be a family of 3 that'll be here in a couple weeks as well. So keep getting kids in, which is a good thing. Today we had a workshop. We had our first instructional leadership team meeting. It was a 3-hour meeting with Lakes Country. Very good meeting. We had 14 staff that's involved in that. We'll be meeting March 1st will be our next meeting. We started looking at our school demographics today and going through different data. And we'll go through, there's 5 different areas and we'll look at the different data. And then looking at our instruction and all the pieces that go with that. So thanks to Christy Sullivan and Todd Benner for help leading those discussions, and they're guiding us through that. So thank you to them. Parent teachers conferences on February 22nd. And again, those will be by Zoom or phone call. And there'll be, parents can sign up through Candidly, which they did before, that seemed to work pretty well, considering it was brand new. So hopefully this time it'll be a little smoother for families. Although it went pretty well the first time, it should go a little better now that they've used it before. And a lot of families had never used Zoom before. I think like a lot of us had never used Zoom before last spring, but getting the hang of it, and the kids are showing them how to use it. So that is a pretty cool tool to use for families that can just do a conference by Zoom. We're hoping next year when we can be back to give people the option of either if they want to come in or do a Zoom. Either way, when we get back in person, maybe keeping this tool around for some families that are like busy. Like in the fall, we had some farmers that both family or parents were able to be there because they could run into the house quick, do a conference, and then go back to their chores. So, but hopefully then next year we can give the option if people want to come in, they can as well. So, using our technology. Activities report. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Holt. He got his 300th victory the other night. And then also, like we mentioned, the AAA winners were Rachel Guler and Mikhail Korf. I'd like to thank Sarah Davis for her years of service as softball coach. She will be not returning if she got a new job up in West Fargo. And then we'll hire Madison Oswald as her replacement. Madison is a 2nd grade teacher. And then hire John Eisnes as a head girls golf coach. He will take the place of Brian Evenson, who retired last fall. Brian had been the John had been the assistant coach to Brian, and is excited about taking over. And then hire Marty Neubauer, who's a kindergarten teacher, to be the assistant girls golf coach. Section tournament updates. They will be starting on March 17th, and all section tournaments will be played at the higher seed, except for the finals. That'll be at a neutral site. So they'll start the first week. Girls will be on a Wednesday, boys Thursday, girls Friday, boys Saturday. The next week, girls on a Tuesday, boys on a Wednesday, girls final on a Thursday, boys final on a Friday. And the following week, the state tournament first round, the quarterfinals will be outstate probably at a neutral site. And then the week after that, the 4 remaining teams from each class will go down to the Target Center and play the remaining in the tournament out there. So for basketball, that's how it's going to be. Wrestling, they're going to do where it's going to be kind of more like a super regional, and like only 1 person from each region then will advance to state. So it's having 2 people in each weight class go to state. This year it'll just be 1. So they'll have 8 people in each weight class down in the state tournament for wrestling. So a little different, but you had a chance for them to be able to hold a state tournament. From what I understand, they're looking at wrestling having at different sites. So A will be at one site, AA will be at another site, AAA will be at another site. They'll all be the same days, but at different sites. That's what the plan is, but that could change as well, I guess. So, any questions?
How about dance?
Dance is, so section tournament will be, we haven't got the date yet, but I believe that'll still be at Wadena. And state tournament will be, normally at the state tournament, they'll have a round in the morning, and they take the top 8 to come back in the afternoon and dance again. They're just gonna do it 1 time. So you dance like eight will dance, they'll be done, there'll be no finals. So it'll be a little more just one and done opportunity. Jazz will be one day, kick will be another. So
But I believe that's at Edina High School.
I
This
believe that
year,
is
not
correct.
at Target
Yep.
Center.
Yep, so. And again, they're still working on some of these sites for some, they told us Friday at our meeting that a lot of this is kind of set, but it could change a little bit too, so. So our changes, but like they said, as long as the numbers stay low and we can have a tournament, that's what they're excited about, so. Also with the, I think wrestling is the same, but like basketball, there's no consolation play. So it's only, if you win, you'll be done. They'll only play through the championship. So like, no even third place game this year. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Greg, any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, Derek.
Yep.
Mr. Martinez, finance report.
All right. All right, so in terms of finance report, we're reporting on the month end of January 31st. Investments, we started investments with $4.1 million. There was a lot of movement in investments. Primarily, we received $985,000 in state aid. And then essentially what I did is I pulled close to $2.6 million from our investment account to cover our expenditures throughout the month. And this is the month where we pay our biggest payment, which is our debt for all the bonds and levies that we have. So that's why you see that substantial drop there. Also, the month of January is when we withdraw from the OPEB trust account for those retirement compensations that we owe to teachers that is in the master agreement. So at the end of the month, we had our investments close to $2.4 million. This is the lowest spot in the year in terms of cash. But then again, we're sitting at a very comfortable $2.4 million cash on hand. From here until the end of the year, we just then start to recuperating those reserves. So from, I always use the comparison that between this and then 3 years ago, having $9,000 cash in hand has been a tremendous improvement. So great job for us, especially through the middle of a pandemic, to know that the lowest point of cash on hand is $2.4 million. General fund, here's the movement of cash in the general fund. Overall, we had a pretty busy month. We received $2 million cash on hand for the refinance of the bond for the 2012 facilities bond that it was refinanced, and now the new issue is 2020A. So that's what you see here. We received $2 million, and that's why you see it there. Then you see the payment going out right here as well. So again, a lot of cash moving through our district, but again, to the benefit of our taxpayers. Payroll for the month was a little low, $281,000. Pretty common, not a lot of activities to pay out or anything during this month. So payroll was a little bit low compared to other months. Adjustments is just for me to balance the books at the end of the year based on how the state distributes the aid. Cash on hand in our checking account was 244. Again, 244 plus the $2.4 million. We're close to $2.8 million cash on hand. So again, pretty good. Petty cash account, we started with a really high balance. This is where we accepted those $2 million that came in. And essentially what you see here is I took the $2 million and then put them in this account so then we could pay the refinancing of the bond that we refinanced. So that's why you see here, our petty cash account now is back to its normal with $28,000. and that from now on it'll stabilize. Student activity account started with $176,000. We had 2,600 in deposits and then 2,600 in expenses, ending the balance on the student activity accounts of 176. So pretty stable account again. We're starting to see a little bit of increase in those fundraising efforts from our student activity accounts, which is really good and fun to see. I'll stop here to see if you guys want me to take a deeper dive or you guys have any questions on any of the cash movement throughout the month of January. Okay, I'll continue. Page 2, again, it's just a collateral report. We had to raise the collateral to $3.2 million. The reason for is because I had a lot of cash circulating. We had to make sure that at any point in time we were at least covered. So that's why you see this collateral report close to the $3.2 million versus the 2 that you see month to month. But again, it had to do with all the refinancing that went through our bank accounts. The next is simply the journal entries that we entered. This is the last journal entry that you see regarding the grant. So this grant was for the coronavirus relief fund that was that the last transaction had to be done in January to close that grant out. So you see that here. Excuse me. So you see that here. The rest of them are just to cancel our books or some errors that we did. But overall, pretty simple journal entries. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here on these journal entries. Here is the payables for the month. Here is the Wells Fargo payment of our bonds. And again, normally our bond payments is close to $1.8 million, but because we refinanced another one for about 2, this is why this is higher than normal. But that is where that payment went for $3.9 million. The rest, everything was pretty standard in terms of our payables throughout the month. This all came out of our general checking account. Student activity accounts, again, pretty standard for this month. You can see that we either paid advisors or reimbursed advisors for buying stuff for the activity, or some fall sports are going through awards and they purchase some team gear to give to students as awards. So that's why you see here as well. Petty cash account, here is all the legal fees that we paid regarding the issuing and refinancing of our bonds. And this was, all these costs were rolled into the refinance. So none of the $22,000 came out of our pocket. It was all rolled into the refinancing of the bond. And that is the Treasury report. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. The other thing that we'll talk about was the new item that was added to the agenda today, which is the extension of the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act. We talked about it in the work session last Monday. We are asking the board to take action and pass a motion to approve the extension until March 31st. This is to protect all of our staff in the event of a hardship. And that hardship comes with the pandemic. So it provides families paid leave for up to 10 business days, equivalent to 2 weeks. So there is no gap in income for them. The majority of our staff has been vaccinated and they're coming up into the second vaccination. So we are very comfortable that there won't be a lot of requests, and our office at the business office and HR office are pretty diligent, making sure that they're all legitimate requests for any employee that requests this benefit. Just for comparisons, we are asking the board to retro it from the beginning of the year until March 31st. So that would be from January 1st to March 31st. Since January 1st until today, we've only had maybe 1 or 2 staff members that have tested positive. So again, it's very rare in our district that we see that, but we do want to make sure that the benefit is for anybody that would go through that hardship. And then, yeah, so that was added to the business items under C. And we hope that you guys approve it. And if you have any questions, I'll stay on to answer any questions regarding FFCRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Is there any questions for Rudy before we move? Okay. Next item up will be Mr. Korf, Superintendent High School report.
Okay, a few high school items here. Enrollment, we're at 412. Started the year at 419 students. Sweetheart Week is coming up here for February 15th through the 19th. So we'll be doing some fun activities. That's Student Council's planning for grades 7 through 12. Professional development coming up. We have PLCs, Professional Learning Communities, coming up February 17th, which will be in the morning. A few items that are to be approved tonight. Mrs. Albright has resigned and has accepted another position. And admin recommends to hire Sheila Johnson as the new study hall supervisor. Also is the retirement of Barb Ripley, effective June of this year. And then to hire Emily Evenson is our recommendation to replace Mrs. Ripley. A few superintendent items. Congratulations, Mr. Carter, on his MSBA award. Thank you for your dedication to Pelican Rapids schools and teaching and learning. State testing, MCAs, they're on so far. The question is distance learners, right now they have the opportunity for them to take the test. So how does that all look? We'll get more details here soon, but right now MCAs are on. People ask, why is that? Well, there's funding with state testing, so there's funding involved, so the federal money. So anyways, this will be interesting, and it's a week by week. We'll hear and wait to see if anything changes. MSBA workshops, I'm attending a couple workshops here. One is negotiation workshop coming up. There's 2 sessions. I think one is this Thursday, and then 2 weeks later is the next one. So I'll be attending negotiations workshop. Also, there's some morning, what do they call it, coffee talks, and they invite legislatures, people come in and they talk. So I've been attending those. So that's been very good information for me too. Talking about like funding, future funding, things like that, and bills to pass. Next item is learning model. We talked at the work session about the learning model. And what we did here this past week is we surveyed teachers and we surveyed families. And then what we did, we went and researched what area districts are doing. And of course, some are starting to look at changing to in-person at some time, even though it might say hybrid at this time, they are discussing it. So high school teachers, going around talking to high school teachers, when we surveyed them, of course, they all want in person. That's the biggest thing that comes out. Their preference is if it would be in March that they would like to see us go into in person. There was, I think, 25 out of 29 certified staff that said that they would like to look at in person in March. They are concerned about social distancing. That is a concern. They did say with some of the grades, it would not be a concern because the number of kids that are already distance learning. So then that won't be a concern because I think they maybe had some discussions during class that some of them would continue with distance learning. So some of them think that, should we just continue with what's going on, what's working, what's worked all year, and then finish off the year. There's concerns about, if we have a positive, how many students, staff will that take out? And then they're out for 2 weeks. So they kind of go back and forth. The majority said in the end, we would like to see in person. If we would look at in person, there'd be some challenges. There would be some extra work from staff, absolutely, from planning like lunch. Busing will be hard to social distance on the bus. And that would be coming here and going home. We would encourage families to drop off their kids. Hopefully when it warms up, we would have more kids that would walk, things like that. And in March, hopefully it's a little bit warmer in March than it is now. So if you look at family surveys, we went and surveyed. Majority of students that filled them out in each grade. And we didn't get 100%. But you see in 7th grade, we had 89% of students that said they would be in person. So we're only taking the ones that have said that they would be in person. Of course, we know this could change. 8th grade, 76% of the students said they'd be in person. 9th grade is 69%. 10th grade is 67%. 11th grade is 60%. And then 12th grade seniors is 64%. So it looks like a little bit, the older they get, there's more that would choose the distance learning. So some students would go from hybrid to distance. Some, of course, you see in our numbers, we're going from hybrid to in-person. So area districts, if you look at the area districts, a lot of them have either have started in person or are discussing dates to when they're going to start to look at going in person at the high school. So there's quite a few area districts that either have or discussing it. Our COVID dashboard as of today changed since last Friday, sent out. The one change that is the number of quarantine in elementary has changed to 25. There's one active case. There will be one classroom out for the next 2 weeks. So that was a change from last Friday of when our COVID dashboard was sent out to the public. At the high school, it's the same as of last Friday. If we look at a timeline to go in person, February 22nd is the date where majority of our staff, 90+ staff members, will have their second vaccine, receive their second vaccine. February 23rd, there is concerns with side effects. If we would change learning model, we could use the 23rd for the high school because the high school would be changing a learning model. After I met with the Deputy Commissioner of Education, Heather Mueller, she said we'd have to provide them 1 day. So whoever changes the learning model would need 1 day of planning, and that would be the high school. So if we do plan a change like after that date, we could use the February 23rd. Our subs, then we could use to focus on the elementary school to help fill in if needed. So I think if we look at going to in-person, my recommendation, admin recommendation is wait until after that week and looking at March if we want to look at in-person.
February 23rd, so then you're looking at no school in the high school or just distance for all of the high school?
No, there'll be no teaching and learning for the high school on the 23rd.
Okay,
Elementary would continue with their model.
gotcha.
That would be a planning day for them. Mr. Rusta, do you have anything to add with busing for a change in the model?
I was just wondering what, I guess my question was if you do roll, get the kids back, there'd still be space the same on buses and everything. That wouldn't be relaxed at all.
The protocols would stay the same.
Yeah.
All the protocols stay the same. So like for quarantine and things like that.
Right.
Yep.
I guess, it varies so much day to day right now that it's, you know, if you go back to the kids come to school, it probably won't make that much difference. We might have to run one more bus, you know, that make up. We're running 2 every morning and every afternoon, extra ones to trailer court apartments and townhomes now. And some days they're borderline full, other days they aren't so bad. But we run them every day because you never know till we get up here. And I think like the high school, there's a lot to drive now and go ride. There's a few that came back, but I think we'd be okay, possibly running one more bus now. And now we try to keep that close to town if we could. So I think we'd be good there.
Talking with Mr. Bergman, we would, any kids that feel that they need to distance for a purpose, that he would work with them and provide a space in the school, if it's a study hall to go to, and then they still have access to the teachers. So we're just brainstorming. Lunchtime, he said we'd do the best we can to space them out. It would get difficult, he said. So I guess the question is, do we want to move forward with a timeline, providing a timeline that we'd be looking at to go in person? Or do we want to wait until March to have another discussion?
I'm comfortable with this timeline, and I think when, Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of felt like the timing was right when we had a COVID meeting to this timeline. I don't know if anybody's got any other input.
The one, when I went and talked to teachers, the one question that was brought up is that the talk of bringing seniors back with like 2 other grades, but some of them said I have juniors and seniors in the same class. So they said they would struggle with that because they'd be there every day, but the juniors wouldn't be. And they were talking more of the hands-on. So then that would be a challenge for them. How do you catch up the juniors and things like that? Or, you know what I mean? Some kids would be way ahead then and behind. So their preference was, you know, keeping 7 through 9 and then 10 through 12.
So just keeping that group, or the teachers also think the 7 through 9 should start first? Or did they not specify that part?
We didn't get into that.
Okay.
There's just some people have commented that they say
the
it makes
group
sense
meeting.
to bring the younger kids in first, is what the teachers feel. I would add, we didn't survey that question though, so I can't
Right.
say like how many believe in that, but I'd say that's what the majority. When we had our large group meeting in the fine arts here a few weeks ago, I think a lot of them are thinking more of the younger kids coming in first than the older kids. The reason is just with younger kids with transportation, things like that. If their brother or sister is now a 10th through 12th grader who's providing rides, now they need to go home and get them, you know, where now they're already at school, they can just give themselves a ride. There's some of those situations that staff talked about. Also band's a 10 through 12. You know, Mr. Fitzsimmons stated that if we start in person, then we can start maybe discussing if there's a possibility of a concert, choir the same way, and grad band. So those things have been discussed. Right now they're in the works of May until someone says we can't do it. It's in the works to plan to have them. So then our people in our arts will have a last opportunity if they're a senior to have a concert in band or choir. And it would be nice to have a band at graduation. And graduation we'll start discussing in April if we can wait that long. We'll start planning that stuff when we get closer to
We'll
it.
decide who from the board is going to speak this year.
And if we need to use what do we call it? The arm extension? Extender?
I don't know if you noticed that the press got an award from the statewide newspaper association.
Oh, they did.
for that.
Cool. I think what we'd want to do if we want to move into in-person, then what we want to do is start communication. If we start in March, it does give some staff some time to plan, more office staff, planning lunch, things like that, and classrooms, and if we need to move. So that's a nice thing of starting in March too. It's for planning.
Personally think that we should plan for it, like we're planning a date for prom, like we're planning to have graduation. It just gives people better time to plan and more time to plan. I mean, I think everybody at this point in time realizes that it's a fluid, you know, continually changing situation, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks. So, you know, if everything takes a dive, obviously we won't go through with it, but it's out there on the table so people are aware of it. And who knows? I'm sure that these numbers that we were provided from the survey will not stand true probably when we actually go into, if we do switch the learning model. This could all change a lot by then, but I think we need to move ahead and start planning.
Ms. Bergman did discuss if we do go to an in-person distance, that he would like to recommend that at the high school, that once they start the fourth quarter with that model, they stay with it unless there's some, emergency or something like that. It's just kids coming and going. It's very difficult for teachers. It's very stressful. Now, there's always a certain situation where we'd allow the change.
Is the learning model change requireable? Or can you just go based on the routines?
For the learning model change, what, I think it was August or September, it was approved.
Resolution.
Yeah, that, with the support of the board and the COVID team, that I can just make the decision. That's what we approved then. I think the COVID team, when they met here this past week, they were in, thought the numbers were good. And I think looking at it in person was okay with most of them on the team. There wasn't any pushback or anything like that. So do we want to move on with potential dates of March 2nd and March 9th that we'll put out to parents to say this is what we're looking at?
I personally do.
I think, families know that they have the option if they have concerns that they do have that full distance learning. That's probably a way to ease some of their minds out there too, so. I'm fine with it.
At least there's some goalposts, they know what to plan for, some dates set. Anybody else? Just comments? Greg?
I still would like to entertain getting 10 through 12 in first. I might be the minority on that one, but I think it's important. I like the timeline. I liked it last time. It's understanding for the staff.
And you prefer 10 through 12 before 7 through 9?
My main concern is the seniors, but I understand the grouping as is to make it streamlined more.
I think there's concerns on the activities side of things from Mr. Nelson. He's very concerned about what's this going to do if the group have to quarantine. And that's for the whole year. But now he's just thinking of that time when kids are coming back is get all the tournaments going on now. Dance, wrestling, and basketball. And that's his concern on that side, even with them coming back at that time. He did bring up, do we wait a few weeks?
If kids choose to stay home and stay in distance until the end of their sports season, is that going to be allowed? I mean, I know you said they want it back for fourth quarter, but would they stay home until their season is up? And
Yeah.
then-
If they talked to Mr. Bergen about that, he discussed that. That'd be one.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's not worth throwing out another, I know it wasn't on this survey, but that's one thing that personally I didn't think about when I was making my decision early on and pushing to get everybody back in is, are those athletes and band members and speech members? I would like to make sure that they're fully aware that, they got a full class now, and if they're exposed, just having that exposure, they're out 2 weeks. I think it's very important that they're aware of that and just make sure that they understand that, because they might not be thinking that way, like I wasn't.
That my student did mention that they had a conversation in class about it, how it would affect, and more so, if there was a positive exposure that the entire class would, there'd be quite a few kids that would be out. I don't know if all teachers had the discussion, but I know that she was aware. And we based our decision on, I guess.
Again, they have the choice of going distance. Also, if Mr. Bergman, if we come up with a plan to work with kids that are concerned about the distancing, if we have a larger area, you can kind of create a plan so they can go there, and then the kids have that option. Teachers are going to be either, they have students in front of them, still give me the same, the students that are Zooming. A lot of them talked about how they would, majority talked about how they like to see in person, but then there were some that talked about they're very concerned and prefer to keep hybrid because then kids wouldn't have to quarantine and lose out on opportunities in the classroom and in extracurricular. What's the majority of the board want? 7 through 9, 10 through 12 first? What do we want to do?
I'm fine with whatever admin the staff thinks is best.
I'm okay with what you guys have put together. If we end up having to go back to a hybrid model, is there some way to prioritize maybe keeping the seniors in for the rest of the year? If, let's say in April, we ended up having to go to a hybrid, maybe to give them that opportunity, I don't know. Stick it outside the box.
Yep. I think the big thing if we go in person is going to work hard too the next couple of weeks of how do we make it work to distance them as much as possible.
And it's easy to get hung up on, we're gonna have kids quarantined here or there, but I think we forget the real meaning or real reason why we want the kids back. It's the mental health part of it. And that's where I know we got the community behind us, whatever we do. And it's easy to lose sight of that when you look at the dashboard or the numbers and the dominoes that it affect after that. I like at least see us try. If I had my say, we'd start next week, but I understand we're giving the consideration to the staff. We have the best buy-in on this timeline.
Okay, so I think
Any other thoughts?
the timeline we put together is from staff input and admin input timeline.
Greg, any thoughts?
I don't have anything further.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
that's all I have.
Questions? Okay, we'll move on. I'm gonna take the mask off because I got a lot of reading here, so. Move on to the consent items. Item A, approve board meeting minutes, January 4th, 2021 and January 11th, 2021 meetings. B, financial claims and January bills. C, the treasurer's report. D, accept donations to scholarships in memory of Dwayne Strom and Pat Motes from Glenn and Colleen Morkey, $30. Item E, personnel. Approve a request from Pamela Iden for a medical/childcare leave from approximately March 29th, 2021 until May 28th, 2021. Accept the resignation of Nanette Albright, effective Friday, February 5th, 2021. Hire Madison Oswald as assistant softball coach. Hire John Eidsness as head girls golf coach. Hire Marnie Neubauer as assistant girls golf coach. Hire Emily Evenson as finance specialist and board/superintendent administrative assistant. Hire Lauren Holloman, that was pronounced,
Yep.
as elementary teacher effective 2/2/21. And hire Sheila Johnson as study hall paraprofessional. Item F, approve the high school yearbook renewal agreement for 2022 with Jostens. Some of that Rudy had gone over. Is there anything else we need to go over that wasn't covered in your reports?
Who would Lauren Holloman be? Is that-
Elementary music.
And she's already been in our system.
Yep.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the consent items.
I'll make a motion to approve consent items as written.
Motion by Brittany. Do we have a second on the consent items?
Second.
Second by Brenda. Now any discussion on the consent items? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent items signify by saying aye, and it'll be by roll call. Greg?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Consent items carried. Item 8, business items. Approve the retirement of Barb Ripley effective June 2021. You sure you want to do that?
I think so.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I'll make a motion to approve the retirement of Barb Ripley effective June 2021.
I'll second.
Second by Ann. Any discussions or objections? Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Greg, this will be a roll call.
Aye.
Brittany,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Molly,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. We still got a few months with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Congratulations. Item B, discuss March 1st, 2021 work session. Now, we just kind of put this as a discussion item, just see if we actually want to have it, or if there's items we need to bring up for a work session. Do you have more, Brian?
And I just have a conflict with that
Yeah,
evening.
that was it.
Wondering if there's another time on that day, or there's another date to look at. Or if we want to move it, cancel it.
Are we going to need it with the learning model potential change? I mean, by then, it could be too late,
But we could need a discussion.
right? I don't agree that you need to Zoom from Wheaton or wherever you're at. So I think it could be changed to a prior week.
End of February.
Dr. Robinson.
Do we have any pressing items that we'd want to put on that work session for that?
Brian and Barb, I forget what I had brought up to Barb by email. I think it was last week about the 4-day school week discussion. And Brian, or Barb, I can't recall, were we planning on, or did I suggest keeping that in mind for the April work session? I forget exactly what we discussed. I had talked to Brian over the phone and then I emailed Barb, but I can't remember offhand what I emailed you, Barb.
We talked about adding it to the March work session.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to add the four-day school week, the continuation of that, or the discussion of the 4-day school week. I'd like to see that on a work session, if it can be worked in either in March or April. And the reason for that is to avoid not talking about it for several months and then having to make a decision quickly with regard to the continuation of the 4-day school week if the state of Minnesota allows us to do so beyond school year 21-22. So the discussion would be on the 4-day school week for the school year 22-23.
And you say you want to look at a Wednesday, the
Yeah,
Wednesday
Wednesdays
before?
usually work for me, I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I work every Wednesday, so, I mean, I could try and send them, but there's just no guarantee if there's something going on, I can't.
You look at the last week of February or the first week of March, a different date or?
And do we have to set a date today? Can we do like, what dates work, put some dates out
Just so
to
we
the school board?
send out notice 3 days ahead of time.
Do like a doodle poll.
Yeah, we do a doodle and see what works for everyone.
Okay.
That's okay?
Did you hear that, Greg?
No,
We're gonna send out a doodle poll, see what dates would work the best.
okay,
Work session, and then we'd have to post it, obviously, 3 days ahead of time.
okay.
Otherwise, our regular meeting is the 15th of March, isn't it?
Yep.
So there's always a potential work session after that, too. Okay. Item C. This will be an action item. Approve the extension of the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act. Leave retroactive from January 1st, 2021 until March 31st, 2021. Rudy explained that to us, so I'll entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion.
A motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
Awesome.
Second by Molly. Any discussion on approving the Family First Coronavirus Relief Act? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. This will be roll call again. Greg?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Molly?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
I'm an aye. That carries. So this leaves us to upcoming meetings. We have MSBA negotiation seminar. We got 2 meetings coming up in February and March. And we have the officer seminar. I believe that is Wednesday. I won't be able to make that, but it is a good one. If anybody finds time and wants to go to it, I did learn a lot when I went.
I think it's Thursday, isn't it? Thursday this week?
I'm going on Saturdays.
10th
Oh,
or-
it was different. Oh, there's different. Okay.
Okay. I thought there was something on the 10th. Maybe that was your week or something.
Negotiations is like Saturday, 13th and 27th, and officers is the 20th and
Okay.
6th. And then there's one, I think, that starts tomorrow, Wednesday, this Wednesday.
That's what I was thinking of. I just don't remember which one that was.
It's 3 times.
So Barb can register everybody. And we have work session March 1st, which we just talked about. So that is scratched off the calendar for now, and we'll work on an alternate date. And then our regular meeting is March 15th at 6 p.m. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brittany. Do you have a second?
That's all.
Second by Brenda. Any discussion on adjourning? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call, Greg.
Aye.
Brittany,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Molly. We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Bill John, hit the unrecord button. Stop recording.